by the Celtic world order.
Hello, good evening, and welcome back to Celtic World Order. I'm always Steve O'Matt, and tonight I am thankfully joined by some company because I have my bearded and also now bald brother and Paddy Boy back from his workplace, back to chat. It's been a long time coming, so welcome back, Paddy. It's good to see you, as always, sporting the new kit, sponsorless I see as well.
Always got to be. The wife nearly made a famous faux pas. Every Father's Day, I get this as a gift. And I said to her, I says, darling, make sure you get the sponsorless kit. And the day before I was due home, she says, I've made a wee mistake. I says, what have you done? She said, I didn't pre-order it, I can't get it. So thankfully, Steve-O, you were the man who I got in touch with, and you were able to put me in contact with the tops, so I was able to get myself one. So thank you very much for that, sir.
You are most welcome. It's a wee snug fit, isn't it? Even myself, as much as I like to think I look after myself, I had to size up because it was skin tight down that bottom end, eh?
Fatty like me, it's a 2XL and it sits quite well. I'll give it due.
It looks nice. Good on you. So as he says, listen, just in case you're confused, this is Celtic World Order. I know it looks like the Mitchell brothers here at the moment, but skin is in. The summer is here, and nothing says summer like a shaved dome, does it, mate? So anyway, welcome back to every single one of you, and thanks for joining us, because we know that the Euros are on. Are you Euroed out? You're not yet. If you've done enough for international football, are you choking for pre-season to begin? I know it's early days and start of the Euros, but I'm struggling to get through 3 games at the moment, particularly some of these group matches. But it's a light news, isn't it? There's not been too much going on, Paddy. We'll just treat this as a wee catch-up. We'll go over some things, and it'll be nice to bounce off some of the stuff that I've been coming on here and chatting personally about and seeing what you think. But before we kick off, we'll do the wee bit of housekeeping, as always. Celtic World Order. If you're here, you know the script. Celtic podcasting by the fans, for the fans. Thank you very much. The community has been growing. We are well on our way over past 500. Thanks to every single one of you. If you like what you're seeing here, as we say all the time, make sure that you like the video. If you want to help us out, you can share that. And also, but most importantly, hit the bell, subscribe, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because you will never miss a beat. Every single time we go live, there's an upload or a pre-recorded video, you'll get notified and you will not miss it. We're also on X at CWPod18A, and I say it all the time, but we're on Facebook at Celtic World Order Podcast. And on the fan thing and the subscriber, if you will, thank you very much to every single one of you. As I've said time and time again, it is really helping the channel grow. And with that, we just want to make yourselves aware that thanks to everybody that's got behind the channel, it's helping us. It's opening up doors, opening up different avenues, the way that we can sort of grow this channel. And one, I don't know, you may be able to see it below, you can actually now become a member. What does that mean? Well, it just shows that you are backing the channel and you support us. It's a $1.99 per month if you want. It's completely optional, and it's just a way of helping us out to run the channel, cover our overheads, help us upgrade our equipment, make things look a wee bit better. But we want to say as well, anybody who does opt or wishes to become a member and join, any money, 70% of that will go directly to the channel. That's what YouTube gives us. And we will be using every single bit of that money to try and improve this, the way it looks, the equipment, and we will also be looking to reinvest some of that and give back to the people who are taking the time to subscribe to this channel and support us. So that's one avenue that you've helped open up as well, and also things like YouTube affiliate, whatever that means. I think it just means that eventually if we get numbers, they might stick adverts on the end of their videos. Probably not, because we're small, but thank you everybody for showing the support in such a short period of time to be able to do these things. We are humbled. So thank you very much to you all. We appreciate it, Paddy.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I know we're just a 2 blabbering idiots most of the time, but yeah, we really do appreciate it.
And then we bring in Josh, and he increases the standard of quality chat, does he not?
Definitely. And the punk dog and all, he comes in and does his wee bit. He's They're the intelligent ones.
Well, that's it. We say thanks to everybody, as we say. We're genuinely humbled and we'll continue to push on and make this better. We know it's been a wee bit slow with the content, but as things start to pick up once the pre-season, once this transfer window really starts to heat up, we'll be putting out as much content as we can, keep them up to date with any of the chatter that's going on, any signings, any movements out, anything to do with the club. As soon as it starts to go, we will make sure that we're out here and doing that. We've got to try and get some bodies back. We've got Paddy back for the next couple of weeks, so hopefully we'll be doing more shows with the two of us. Young Josh, he's working hard, so his schedule is very, very tight. But again, we'll look to get him in the door as well. So anyway, Paddy, as we say, let's just crack on. It has been pretty lean, hasn't it, in terms of movement? I know that we are just freshly opened up that transfer window. As you've obviously seen, we've been chatting in the chat group. I've done a couple of videos. And what's your general thoughts, mate, on some of the... Well, let's just look at the profile. And the main one, isn't it? We still are no further forward with any idea of a goalkeeper. And there was the two names that were thrown out there. I just want to come to you and get your take on it. It's nice to chat with somebody else other than yourself. And obviously, we've had the viewers here to bounce ideas off, but it's not quite the same as having somebody to pick their brains. So the boy Dubravka, for example, 35, Newcastle. As I said, I had a wee look at him, 418 appearances in his career, very nice. 136 clean sheets, plenty of experience in Europe at Newcastle, and he actually was pretty much solidly Newcastle's goalkeeper for the biggest part of this season. Wasn't up because of injuries, but he had 30 appearances, 9 clean sheets, and he finds himself putting in, by all accounts, in my opinion, a pretty damn good performance against Belgium today. What do you think of him, my man? Is that sort? Did you see anything in that today? You think, do you know what? Maybe worth it.
When his name came out, I was probably one of the first to say that I thought it was a bit old. I thought we should bring in somebody in kind of 31, 32. I'm not wanting to bring somebody in as we did with Joe for a couple of seasons. I know he worked out. I know Joe was brilliant. For me, he seemed a bit old and stuff like that. But watching him today, obviously the other guy we were linked with, Castells, is at the other side as well. He had a couple of cracking saves, but I think he's
Soddy bound.
he's away there for the money. So, do you know what? Dubravka looked solid enough. He had a couple of cracking saves. Also, Lukaku had 2 goals chopped off. But he looked solid enough. He looked fit for what he is. Do I think there's better out there? Yes. I'll continue watching the Euros to see if any of the other keepers stand out so that I can plank their names in there. I couldn't tell you any off the top. I will put my hands up and say that I was calling for Angus Gunn and Pompadour fingers.
We'll
so I will quickly remove that name from any other podcast that we've done. Steve, could you go back and just edit it out so that I don't look like the proverbial FUD that I feel?
Well, do you know what? It's one of those. There was a lot of people shouting for Angus Gunn, and we'll get round to Scotland and we'll get round to those Celtic players that did go on the pitch in that opening match. I know it's a couple of days down the line, but I think maybe you needed a couple of days to get that out your system, did you not? But as you say, in terms of the Dubravka thing, I think what's interesting is a goalkeeper, undoubtedly, if there's ever a position that we need to fill, that's the one that we should do. Listen, the window's just opened, and as we said before, and as I've been coming on doing these short shows, you're going to be linked with everybody, you're going to be linked with anybody, but certainly Dubravka was one. He came out and he actually was asked about it and he addressed it, and he says that it was apparently last season he was approached, but he's not heard anything here, and as far as he's told his agent, until it becomes a solid approach this season, I'm just going to treat it as rumour and noise and treat it as such, and by that there. Now, as I say, he's going to be a nominal fee, less than £1 million, and you're looking to get a guy like him on wages. I get the age, and a lot of folk have said this about, he's 35, you've just let Joe Hart go, what on earth are you doing? But as I've said time and time again, I think age is but a number, and you've got to treat each player based on their own individual merits. Joe Hart, before we got him in, he was on the wind down, let's face it. He wasn't playing much football, certainly not at the highest level. He came up to us, he nailed himself down as a number one. How much that was to do with the fact that he was a fantastic goalkeeper, we're not going to revisit. I'm a big Joe Hart fan, as you know, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he was fantastic for every single season. Arguably, that season past was his best, and we even know that was ridden with mistakes, which is telling you something. Perhaps don't know if you think, was Joe Hart in the fullness of time, was he really number one for so long just because the other options were dross, or was he really that good?
Probably a bit of both, if we're honest. We know our other options were pretty grim. Seagrass, we never really got a chance to see him, so we can't really comment on that lad. I get what you're saying about keepers and the age thing. I mean, you look at goalkeepers. I'm not by any means comparing Dubravka to guys like Buffon and Neuer and whoever else, but you look at the age of these guys. Jim Leighton, back in the day, the bold Jim,
Vaseline Jim.
Played football till like 40-year-old or something, didn't they? I mean, the keepers nowadays are going longer. They're not retiring as quickly, and it's because they're in a position where they don't have to be as fit as your attacking midfielders, as your wingers and these kind of other guys. So getting to that state of your career, like maybe 35, 36, you could come with a lot of experience. And
that's the thing with them. To throw that back at you, as I says, 30 appearances for Newcastle, the best league in the world apparently as well. 9 clean sheets. So about 30 games that he's played, he kept a clean sheet. And Newcastle certainly didn't have the same quality of seasons that the previous. He got a wee bit of experience, between the sticks there. He's had plenty of European experience as well. And as I says before, look, I've always been a great advocate of saying, get these kind of guys in. 35 said admittedly that's on the top end of that scale, but I've always said get them in, treat them like a running bill. If you get 2 seasons out of them, absolutely fantastic. And just based on the amount of football he's played at a high level recently, and he's been, before he broke into Newcastle this season through injury, he's always been the Slovakian number one. He has been playing for them in the internationals every single time without fail. He's at a top level and he is fit. He's the kind of guy that he looks like you would get 2 seasons out of him comfortably. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking the question. Certainly we don't have a goalkeeper, but we've sat here and spoke and says we need 2 goalkeepers. Could it be him and one other?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like you say, we spoke about it, 2, possibly 3. You spoke about obviously bringing the B team keeper up, giving him an opportunity. Yep, giving him a wee chance. Putting him in there as a third keeper because obviously Bain can just
the DJ.
DJ Bain. That's it. Get him out of the way. So 2 keepers possibly coming in. If you, like you say, the numbers. If you can get Dubravka in for £1 million plus wages, it's a no-brainer.
Would it be the most Celtic thing to do, though? Would it be Celtic? Would it be looked upon as being tight? And we'll get around to that tightness as well because something came out there. Is that just Celtic fans being Celtic fans and us saying it's the cheap option, it's the easy option?
It is a cheap option. It is the easy option. It's what we're used to as Celtic fans. We're not going to go out there and spend 6 million, 7 million on another keeper. We tried it with Barkas, didn't work. He was garbage. It's penny pinching at its highest order. It really is. You look at the female team, they're bringing players in all over the shop. Every time I go on to Instagram, it's all Celtic unveiling a new player. And I'm like, oh, yeah, beauty, who's this? All right.
It's the ladies team, the women's team. But do you know what? They have also had a fair amount of players getting out. So, and we know as well, Celtic aren't just cheapskating in the first team. That was one of the reasons why Fran Alonso left the women's team, because he was going to get told his budget was getting cut and he was going to lose players. Celtic doing Celtic things. But another name that did come out, and it's sort of the chat off it is simmered down because we're going to revert to another 2 names. The first one was obviously the Peter Vandal Jensen, the Danish chap, 26. He's on loan. He's playing at Sparta Prague. He was one that came out of nowhere, and all the chat around that again is social media and it's internet-based report writing. Take it as you find it. We're saying that apparently this is their number 1 choice, the concrete interest that they've got in this guy. I ran through the numbers on him. Says 26, mainly youth. Denmark's not broken. He's not at the Euros. Nordsjælland in his youth. Alkmaar, 40 appearances there. Then it was Nuremberg in the Bundesliga 2. But he finds himself at Sparta Prague for that last season there, where he made 47 appearances, conceded 59, right? 11 came against Liverpool, mind you, in the Europa League. And 15 clean sheets. So let's just take away the 11 that you get scudded against Liverpool. That can happen to you. Not bad numbers. Played against Rangers, conceded 2 against them. a lot of
It's not
people
good
were
enough.
getting their pants. A lot of guys were getting their, folk out there were getting their pants wet about this guy. I looked at it and I didn't quite see it that way. I thought in terms of profile, you mentioned Barkas, age, experience, yep, tick, 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 tick. Barkas came with the advantage of the international caps that he doesn't have. But the question I want to ask you, Paddy, is, because as I say, it was a rhetorical question because I was doing a show on my own. I said £4 million for a guy that's been your number one goalkeeper. You've had him for one season. Would you be concerned over, why would you let your number one goalkeeper go for £4 million after one season if he was that good? Goalkeepers are hard to come by, know.
If you've got your eye on somebody else, or you've got somebody else coming through the ranks, that's the only reason you would be pushing to get rid. For me, the numbers are pretty poor, for being honest. I remember seeing him play against Liverpool, watch that game. A few mistakes in there. But like that, Liverpool on any night could do that to any team, let's be honest. Conceding 2 against them, that's not good enough for me. He needs to keep clean sheets against them in order to get in the door for me. You're going to need to boot one of them off the park or do something like that.
Come on, that's Rangers chat, blood, guts and snorters and kicking, that's their way. But no, as I say, look, it was a name that obviously came up, and as I say, folk were getting quite excited about the prospect of that. Sparta Prague, they're always a team that are in about Europe. That was the big thing for me that sort of caught my eye, or got my sort of attention, grabbed, was £4 million for a guy. It's your first choice. As you say, if you've got your eye on somebody else, or you've got somebody through the ranks, then maybe. But one season and £4 million, does that maybe say that if Sparta Prague are willing to go, he's maybe not that good?
He's not as good as what he's getting made out to be honest. And you look at it, just get somebody in as a wee mole in at Sparta and see who they're looking at and just buy them.
Do you think that's us maybe as a club or as a fan base being conditioned to the likes of looking at Dubravka? All right, yep, his profile undoubtedly is light years ahead in terms of experience. There's just the age thing there. But do you think we've been conditioned for so long that we've been picking up guys that are out of contract or low, that are maybe underwhelming, if you will? Even Joe Hart came in as an underwhelming signing, let's be honest. That we've been so conditioned that the thought of going and getting and signing a guy who's a first choice goalkeeper, that we just get a wee bit bored and don't look, don't pull back the curtain and look at what's under the bonnet and say, why are they selling him? Remember we all get excited about Segrist?
I know. No, exactly. It just doesn't add up. For me, you don't sell your first choice keeper. It's not the done thing. If you've got a keeper who's performing, I mean, if somebody would have come in for Joe Hart last year and said, we'll give you, well, I know Joe Hart with the age thing and whatever, but let's just say Boric in his prime after the Man U game kind of thing, after that season, somebody comes in and goes, I'll give $4 million for Boric. They went, nah, chase yourself, pal.
Yeah.
He's your number one. You're not getting him. He's there. He's solid. Do you know what I mean? Unless you come in with a massive offer, then you're not getting something. You don't get a first choice goalkeeper off of a team, Sparta Prague, even for $4 million. It's not a done thing.
No, well, the other name that we discussed, as you remember as well, was the Turkish chap, Bayındır. He is at the Euros. He's probably going to be the number 2 there at Man United. And again, I always say take these things as you find them, because remember that came out. Apparently, Turkish outlets had said that Celtic were going to buy him and it was £5 million and it was all but done. Then as quick as night comes, nope, rubbish, total nonsense, a non-story. Well, last night again, it was doing the rounds again on the old Twitter machine, X, and I was saying that I use the term supposedly. Nope, that was the one. Celtic were definitely coming back for him and it was all but done. £6 million and he'll get unveiled in due course and due time. He's at the Euros. They're going to get that out of the way, but he's going to be unveiled as a Celtic player at the end of it. I mean, it is the silly season. If I was to give you Jensen, Dubravka, Bayındır, is that tickling your fancy? I asked you this question again. We're just revisiting it, but it's reared its head once again. And it's hard to tell. I always say, unless you see a guy with a Celtic scarf above his head, or usually if you hear the name Stephen McGowan attached to it as well, know as Celtic's go-to media lackey, then you kind of really do take it with a pinch of salt. But are Celtic capable of surprising us and actually doing something like that?
We live in hope. The young lad, he looks all right. He looks decent enough. If Man United are sniffing about him, then obviously he must be.
Well, he's sitting. They brought him on. He's sitting there. He's actually in situ at United. He was, second choice. He's behind Anana, which, let's face it, he's garbage. But I think the fact that they are keeping on Ten Hag, he's probably going to persist with Anana, which would bring him down. And by all accounts, apparently he's wanting to play first team football. So that for me was the one there. If that was something that was genuinely that we were interested in, their uncertainty over the managerial position was going to be the stumbling block. But we know it's going to be Ten Hag. Man United fans are going to suffer another season of garbage again, right? So does it open up the door? And as I say, you look at his profile and the age, and he's played in Turkish, I believe it was Fenerbahce he was at, then went to Man United. It's no happened for him. Would you be more excited in him over Jensen or Dubravka?
Yeah, I think he fits our profile a little bit more. He's got the age, he's played for a decent side, Fenerbahce. All right.
Well, European experience as well.
He's in Turkey, let's be honest, so they play European football quite a lot as well. I'm not sure about the young lad, if he's had experience in the Champions League, what his numbers are, things like that, but coming for a team with Fenerbahce and then going to Manchester United, if he's second keeper at Man United, then I would be quite happy to bring him in. The age thing for Dubravka is the thing that seals it for me. I know we spoke about it earlier and said, keepers go longer and things like that, but for me, a bit of youth in that team, especially at the back, if we're going to be playing out. Dubravka doesn't look like the most comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's a good shot stopper. He's good at taking crosses, which is something that we've lacked for a while, taking crosses out the FA corners and stuff. If we can get a keeper that can do that, can catch the ball from across so that we're not wrecking at every corner and play out for the back the way Brendan wants us to, then by all means, that's the kind of guy that we need to go for.
One thing as well, we always talk about, when we speak about coming to Celtic and big club, big pressure. We look at the Dubravka, let's pass over him, playing experience at big clubs. Look at Bayinda, playing at Fenerbahce, right? Sparta Prague, for example, with Jensen. We know what their fans can be like. We know it's fanatical. But arguably Turkey, I mean, it's pressure city, isn't it? I mean, they're jumping. They've got guys jumping on the park and going mental. They've got like chairmen coming onto the park with guns. When if you want to talk about pressure, then coming to Celtic for somewhere like Fenerbahce and that, it's probably no going to phase you. Does that as well maybe make you feel a wee bit better for a guy like this, having been their number one for a couple of seasons before going to Man United, to think, do you know what, right? If they've stuck with them with the pressure pot there, then that could be something that levels up. Again, compare him alongside, say, a Barkas. He'd never known such pressure. Difference, maybe, is that also another strong mentality type thing, that he's played at such a big club with let's just say a volatile fan base with huge expectancy?
Yeah, we spoke about that before. Like, every time Mikey Johnson gets brought up, I mention that Celtic is too a club for the young guy. Glasgow is a small city with two teams, basically, that you're either one or the other, and one half will love you, one half will hate you, and you need to be a certain mindset in order to deal with that. And I think these guys coming in, obviously the young lad with Fenerbahce, I've had at Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, similar rivalries, shall we say. So he gets it, he'll understand what it means, he'll know what it's like to play against a rival, and that's what you need. You need somebody in who's experienced that before, somebody that's had that hatred. Is that the right word for it? Somebody that's had that.
That's the thing. It sounds funny to say, and there's more to Scottish football than visceral rivalry. But we've got to be honest, it is, particularly if you're coming to Celtic or Rangers, it is something that can eat you up. And I don't think certain players really, some grasp it and some don't. And if you're coming in, particularly if you're filling, I always say you need your goalkeeper to be a strong character, somebody with a strong mentality. And I don't think being sort of battle hardened, and the term cauldron gets thrown about a lot, but it is, as I say, we look at how volatile Celtic and Rangers matches can be when it's, Fenerbahce are playing in their rivalries. It is proper, like the Gladiators, it is old school visceral rivalry. And if you've survived a couple of seasons in the sticks as their number one, then you must be doing something right. You've got to be doing something right.
Yeah, definitely. Get him in.
£6 million. Bit of that. That's it. Get it on. So anyway, we'll do a wee break from the day-to-day, and we'll look at Celts just ever so briefly, because listen, you're probably scared, aren't you, right? But what about the Celts at the Euros? We've seen Tony Ralston, and we've seen Cal McGregor. Now, Cal McGregor has been getting an absolute kicking for his performance against Germany. Germany are a fantastic team with Salajovic, Cruz, light years ahead of Scotland. However, it wasn't good, was it? And our two boys, take your pick for anybody in that park, all absolute garbage. But we are a Celtic podcast, so we're going to focus on the Celtic guys. And I'm sorry, but both were absolutely honking. And Cal McGregor in particular stunk the place out, did they not? What went wrong for our boys in Germany?
I don't even know. I went into that full of hope, thinking,
Paddy, you're always the optimist.
I'm thinking we could get a draw for them. They're not the team they were. They're not this. They're not that. And I'm telling everybody, back a draw. We'll get something after them. We'll take a point here. 10 minutes in, I'm sitting going, oh no, I'm going to need another whiskey. What's going on? I just sat there. I was like, here we go. And me and the wife are sitting watching it, and kind of got to half time, and I'm just like, please, no more. Just let's go into this half and just bring on another 3 defenders and just take the 3-0 and take some in here. Do you know what I mean? Just Callum didn't seem to have his press. Could have been he was up against, like you said, the better people in there. Tony Cruz could have played with slippers on.
Yeah.
Your lad Musiala, what a player he is. That young lad is absolutely frightening. And then I bring in players off of the bench like Fulkrug and Sani, and you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's night and day compared to what we've got. We're bringing Grant Hanley off the bench. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's night and day when you look at it.
See if we bring it back, Paddy, to a Celtic-minded stance on the play, right? We are looking at not only getting a new season domestically, but we're looking at Europe, right? We're looking at Europe, and we're talking about levelling up, and we're talking about improving the squad. Now, again, listen, take this at face value. I know it's like comparing two different things, international football and club football, totally different things. McGregor finds himself in a different position, different demands, as does Tony Ralston. But essentially, that Scotland versus Germany, generally speaking, that's Celtic in the Champions League versus your Real Madrid's and that, isn't it, right? So did it show that there is reason for us, as we well know, that Tony Ralston's a glorified backup, and I think at that level, he just doesn't have it. He doesn't. It's not his fault. He gets picked. Works hard. He's a good option domestically, but he was a mile off. It was completely out of position, all over the place. And McGregor was really struggling. Does that hammer home the importance of the overall requirement for us to not only improve the peripheral positions, but people have said before, you could improve on Cal McGregor. And I know that's maybe harsh judging the guy against a game of Germany. I'm just talking broadly, because let's face it, you might argue that the players he found himself in the midfield with, like your McGinn and your McTominay, maybe better than our midfielders. So what's the excuse?
We don't have one. Let's be honest, there isn't an excuse for it. Poor positioning by pretty much all of them. Wasn't as much a high press as what I wanted. I think a Celtic team presses higher, works harder than what that Scotland team did. I don't think we had the bite about us. I think the goal in the first 10 minutes deflated us. I think, as Lindsay commented there, the heads went down. They did. And you've seen it. And there was a point when it flashed across to Callum and he was over at Andy Robertson and he's telling him, tell them to get the fucking heads up, tell them to get the heads up, and you can see it and he's going, come on, lift the players. And that's when you need your captains. And Andy Robertson is a fantastic captain. I'm not slating him at all. He's been an amazing servant for Scotland. But for me, he didn't have it either. His head went down. And when your captain's head's down, you're on for a hiding, let's be honest. And you need your captain to raise your team. And it never happened. So for me, we were out of depth.
Another guy that we were obviously, linked with. We're always going to be linked to him, Kieran Tierney, right? We've sat here and we've spoken about the pros and the cons of potentially going for Kieran Tierney. There's no doubt. Let's not kid ourselves on, right? Light years ahead of Greg Taylor and fucking Bernardo. Please get him away, right? Easy upgrade. And there'd be no doubt with the way that we play that he would be, he would excel for Celtic. So I'm not, again, you would never write him off on a performance like that, right? But see for Scotland, just again, Celtic name, Tierney, and linking around, the Scotland get into these remaining 2 games, need to just decide who's better between Tierney and Robertson. Play one.
Yeah. We had it before. Remember, they played Tierney at right back.
Would you do that over the absolute shocker that was Ralston?
Why not? I felt the last time we done it with Tierney, though, Tierney looked out of position. Well, he was out of position, but he looked as if he was always trying to tackle with his left leg, I think, was it? So obviously he's a left back, so he was trying to go in with his left leg to get a tackle. So every time he was going in for a tackle, he was clipping the boy and ended up, he got to have fouls and sweep across people. And for me, you've got to stick with your positions. Is Kieran Tierney a better left back than Andy Robertson? No, he's not. Not in my eyes. Kieran Tierney's an excellent player, but for me, he's in a position against a player who's better, so he's got to be benched. I wouldn't play players out of position. I would need to have a set team. I think Callum plays out of position as well. We spoke about that. Callum's more of a holding midfielder. They're playing him more in a more attacking role. Billy Gilmore in that role, even Ryan Christie in that role, somebody like that wants to push forward now. Callum's more happy doing the dirty stuff. Callum's more happy sitting back and take ball, intercepting, being the boy who's getting other guys into positions and things like that. I think Steve Clark needs to sit down and actually look at his squad and see what he's got. We've got the talent in there. We've got a massive array of talent in the Scotland squad, and we've done incredibly well to get where we are. But we need to start playing our players in their own positions.
I think what I just address, because I see the comments come for our follower McLaughlin P. He's saying we're burying our own. We're a Celtic podcast. We're mainly interested in the guys who play for Celtic. And I don't know if you've maybe joined us late, but I did say every single one of them was absolutely shocking. Take your pick. They were all stinking. But I am focusing on the Celtic performances because, well, we're a Celtic podcast. It's not saying they are at fault. It's not saying that they are at blame. But I do think that they were very, very poor. And if I was to pick one player out of the Scotland team that I thought was horrendous, it was Cal McGregor. And I'll make no apologies for that. He was red raw. I think he was probably getting played in the wrong position, but he was absolutely red raw. And then, of course, there was Porteous. Like, Porter, come on. Wow. Absolutely insane. But it's another thing. But the key point that we did learn here is that Paddy no longer wants Angus Gunn at Celtic. So that's probably a good thing. Yes!
Bye-bye, Angus.
Other options there. But I tell you what, don't want to labour the Euros thing. We want a break. We want to get back to the Celtic chat.
What's with it?
I do not have much faith because I watched that Switzerland game, and I think, if I'm being honest here, I was fully positive. I thought Scotland were going to get about 4 points and maybe have a chance with one of those third placers. But at this moment in time, I think Scotland will finish on flat 0 points, about -9 goals. They have no chance. I think Switzerland will demolish them.
I'm hoping for a draw. I'll put my optimistic head on and say that Steve Clarke will galvanise the boys and get them in there and put them in their proper positions and have a decent lineup. We were very defensive against Italy. Not Italy, who am I talking about? Germany, sorry. We were very defensive against Germany. More so than we were against Spain when we went into that game against them. So we need to get back to playing the way we were playing in the qualifiers. If we can get back to that and have your guys like McTominay and McGinn pressing forward and leaving Callum to do his job in the middle, then why can't we beat Switzerland? We've beat Spain, we've beat Norway. We've done really, really well to get where we are. We need a couple of good performances, and I think the players are capable of it. We just need to get them to believe it.
I personally don't think you will see any Celtic players play against Switzerland. Such was how bad they were. I think they will drop Cal McGregor and they'll bring in the boy Gilmore, and I think Anthony Ralston's tees out. So I think that's the Celtic chat at Euros over. It's in the bin. It's done. I don't think they're getting any more of it. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think Cal McGregor's a fantastic player and a better lineup, a better tactical play, but I just don't see it. So anyway, bin with the Euros. See you later. It's gone. A fleeting chat. But back to business, Paddy, because as I said, we talked about the idea of folk coming in. And I want to bring this up. This is a one to keep. I'll put it up on the screen at the moment, but it's a broad thinking here. What are we expecting for the transfer business now? Are these just the norm now? What I want to touch on here is, firstly, Celtic could find themselves, and the word is could. We know how much money we've got. I don't need to labour the point. Circa 60 million season books. Yada, 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 yada. We're probably going to be swimming about the echelons of about 125 million-ish type money, right? Mm-hmm. We've got offers on the table, which we'll break down. We've got, surprisingly, Genk want them, as we say. Yes, exactly. Talk there, 3.5 million, possibly rising up to about 4.2 million, okay? We've got more money coming in because Giakoumakis moved on to Cruz Azul in Mexico, £10 million. That generates roughly about 900k or just under $1 million, and a sell-on clause, which I will be honest, I didn't even know existed. So we sold him on for £3.5 million. We were all raging. We know what happened, but we're getting a wee Brucey bonus. I still think it's 4.5 in totals, less than we should have got for him, but by the by.
Yeah.
So there's some money there. There is Lech still wanting to go with Lagerbielke. Small loss, but about £2 million there. Nice. There's obviously talk of Mikey Johnson, as we well know. And then there's other things that could potentially happen. Frimpong looks all but set for a move as well. Yada, yada. The reality is being sort of cautious with the numbers and not getting ahead of yourself. Celtic could be in line for about £15 million from other sources before a player's even been looked to be a big player has been looked to be sold, because that would be obviously the O'Reilly situation.
Yeah.
And before any of this other money's come in. So before we've even done anything, we could have about £15 million just sitting. Yet, we find ourselves today finding out that the talks for a guy who we had in the door with an option to buy, Bernardo, who we all expected to be the first person that they wheeled out when this window opened up, has been in place, that we find ourselves bickering over wages. And apparently that's a stumbling block. So based on that there, what are we expecting? Are they just the norm? Is this a wee minor bump in the road? Or is this an early indication of frustration and the sign to come?
It's ridiculous. I had a look back and I was trying to see what sort of wage Bernardo was on, and it's looking roughly between 5 and 6 grand a week at Benfica. So I don't know what the lad's expecting at Celtic, whether he's wanted doubled, trebled, whatever. But surely we should be offering a guy like him, if he's going to come in, to me, he wasn't a starter all the time. He was a bit part player, but he was decent. He'd done the job.
Yeah.
He's been here. Sometimes it's better the devil you know. We spoke about that before as well. I think he'd be a good option to bring into the team. What are you bickering about, Celtic? Unless he's asking for 20 grand a week, 25 grand a week, then for me, it's a no-brainer. Just give the lad what he's after. If it's 15, anything up to 15, I reckon bring him in.
Yeah.
He's maybe looked at the current Celtic squad and went, right, well, wait a minute, he's on this, he's on this, he's on this. Because no doubt they will talk to each other about their wages and stuff like that. It's not going to be a secret. So he's maybe looking around the park at guys like James McCarthy, who, again, sat there and done absolutely hee-haw and is on 32 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? And he's looking, going, right, wait a minute, I've had 2 assists against your biggest rival. I've scored a goal against your biggest rival. I've pretty much
played all the Champions League games.
Yeah, played all the Champions League games, done an incredible job. So the young lad's due, he's deservedly looking for a rise. Of course he is. For me, that's it.
So see, in terms of this is something I want to ask and dig back in on and really just get your thoughts on it. Yeah, I totally agree with all that. Now, if we're talking, originally the chat was about £5 million, but that's supposed to be negotiable. So I believe that we are talking about 3.5 million. That's the wording of what we've pretty much agreed on. Okay, that's what they've settled for, if you want to call it. Because I think that bargaining would have been stronger if he was playing more regularly. As you say, yep, he played in Europe, he had some decent performances, but it was, we sat here the minute and we sort of said, he's not shown a lot. He looks like he's an option, but I wouldn't pay the full blast. We're not going to have to do that, it would appear. So the question would be yes, we do have fortunes. We do. But as, Fergus McCann once says, Rangers were doing for every £5 Celtic spend, we'll spend a tenner. And Fergus McCann infamously says, on a broadcast, it was Scotland's game, where he says, don't spend £10 million on a £5 million player. Don't do bad deals. And I think the exact same thing would apply to wages.
Yeah.
You're asking how much is he going to command? I don't know how much a £3 million contract, what you would be expected to get in the way of wages for that. Yeah. But at the same time, just because you've got fortunes in the bank, you shouldn't be getting yourself allowed to be held to ransom. Now, it'd be interesting to know what the mid-ground is, because we've no reference point. You're saying he's meant to be on about £6,000 or whatever as a Benfica B guy. That sounds fairly reasonable, let's be honest. That does sound fairly reasonable. So what would you say would be your cut-off? If you were Mr. Celtic and you were doing the negotiating, based on what you've seen, what would be your cut-off for a player of what you've seen in Bernardo? Forget potential and forget about maybe selling on. Just face value, what you have seen. What do you think Celtic should be offering a player like Bernardo? And do you think it should be a case of what we've done with similar guys, where we bring them in and then if they have a good season, then we review and we bump them up a wee bit?
Yeah.
So what do you think Celtic should be looking at?
For me, 15 grand. That's where I would be sitting at with him. And if he is on 5 or 6, like we say at Benfica, it's 3 times your salary. If you're getting offered 3 times your salary to go and play for a team like Celtic, you're going to take it. Let's be honest. Me and you would do it for nothing. But yeah, we get it. Not looking at potential, like you said. He's the Portuguese under-21s captain as well. Yeah. Things like this come into it for me, and you've got to look at it. You've got to look at the potential that this young lad's got. Portugal don't make idiots their captains. They're a good side. Probably my tip for the Euros. That's who I kind of thought at the start. I've went for Portugal because I'm going to head out there for a wee bit of sunshine pretty soon as well. But yeah, I'm all for bringing a young laddie in. I think 15 grand would be my top offer for him a week.
So again, see that we're saying, because we're sitting here and saying, is it Celtic doing, geez, Celtic, here we go again, bickering over wages, pay the guy the money. Yeah. Because we've got that money, I asked you about the notion of, when we spoke about Jensen, with the idea of we've been conditioned to being disappointed for so long that the idea of buying a guy that's first choice is dead exciting, and we don't look at that he might just be all right in the average. is it a similar thing here as well, where because we've got that money, it's easy for us to just sit here and bang and say, just pay him, but we don't actually know what he's asking for. And as you've said, 15 grand seems to your eyes anyway reasonable. I don't know. I'm not a financier. I'm not in the football businessy contracts and stuff. But I certainly, if I found out he was making more than 15 grand, I would be surprised, because at this moment in time, I don't think he's worth that.
Yeah.
And do you think, as well as, wanting to get the best deal and getting the best players, as I says, do you think clubs, when we try to negotiate, not forget the fact that we're Celtic, but the fact that we've got this money, do you think we're going that it could be tougher again, not because our board are typically tight, but just because teams do know that you've got money to play with and maybe want to just, will try to pull your pants down?
Of course they will. You look at players playing for Manchester United, let's go through their wage bills. You look at guys, remember Alexis Sanchez, what was he on, 360 grand a week or something, sitting on the bench, and they couldn't even loan him out because nobody was willing to pay half his wages.
Yeah.
They used to bring folk in cheap and pay them ridiculous amounts of cash. And then when they try to get rid of the players, they've got these players on a 4-year deal for £15 million. They're paying them 300 grand a week.
Yeah,
these players, they're playing crap and then they get dropped and they're just willing to sit there on 300 grand a week. So for me, you've got to get the sensible head on. Like we spoke about Bernardo, he's not going to be a starter. He's not going to be our go-to guy in midfield. I don't think anyway. Do you know what I mean? If we keep Hatate and we're going to have Callum in there, we're going to have to replace Matt O'Reilly. Is Bernardo going to step into that role? For me, probably not. I think we're going to bring somebody else in for that position. Possibly another kind of Matt O'Reilly, Tom Rogic type player.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting because we're looking at bringing in players, and I would hope that, I said before, I would like to hope that we'd get things moving. And he was, for me, he was going to be the stick on. He was going to be the guy that unveiled in the first week to say, look, we've done something, we've got the ball moving. That was just something that broke out the day that apparently the wages were there. But we'll see how that one progresses. It'll be interesting to see if there's any other offers on the table. And I do think as well, I think he's shown enough to be a great option. I don't think he's a solution, but £3 million, I would take him. But again, it's all about striking the balance. The wages do have to be right. So I think we need to be mindful of that as fans, to just not roll our eyes and say, here we go, it's the board being tight. We don't know what he's asking. We genuinely don't know. The board might be being tight and saying, oh, you're on £6 grand now, mate, want to Celtic for 9. They might be. They could be. But I think we've got to look at what we've got and what we're going to get ready. Because let's go on to getting ready, folk. There's also, I spoke about money possibly coming in. We know there's guys like Johnson that have got a wee bit of value in it. But there's also been talk of another misfit as well. We'll get to O. But that was Tilio. Interesting. Taking him back and just calling it a day. Wipe your nose. We paid £1.5 million. Any amount of money for him to just get him off the books, that's got to be good. I've always said as well, £1.5 million, whatever his wages are, he'll be a learner. He's surely got to be on maybe that £6 grand that you're talking about, sort of reaching for that on a contract. You could probably write him off with a wee sort of nice handshake and get him out the door to whoever it is it's going to be showing interest in him for a low price as well. Free up some wages. But the big one's obviously Paddy. I saw you waving. You've been happy about that. Phenomenal bit of business, if we managed to extract £3.5 million, get up to about 4.2 with potential add-ons and bonuses for a guy that's just fallen off the face of earth. That's got to be
how we've managed to make profit out of that guy is just unreal. So it's somebody at Celtic's got the Midas touch there, isn't he? Just bring him in, there you go, son, off you go. That's it. He's a wee bit of money for him. I just don't understand how we've managed to make money off him. For me, he scored a couple of important goals. He done all right, but he's by no means worth any of that. He's worth nowhere near it. So yeah, if anybody for Genk's watching, cracking player, take him. Good luck.
We've sat here and spoke about the long contracts. We were giving out 5-year contract was the new 3 for Celtic. That was a go-to, and he was one of these guys that was tied into that. He's played a season and a half for Celtic.
Yeah.
his record, as I showed there, they made the squad 52 times. He's got on the pitch 47 times, 1,313 minutes thereabouts, and he's had 47 outings, 12 goals, 0 assists. And this season he was 5 goals in 26, 722 minutes, right? So if you look at those figures, not fantastic, right? Let's not kid ourselves on. Decent for a striker, not great at Celtic with the service and everything you've got. Do you think, looking at that, we are surprised that we're making profit? And we came back to Bernardo and we spoke about age, potential. He's in and around the career squad. And also length of contract at Celtic, which we've said can be a hindrance because look at McCarthy. When guys are just garbage and the contract is so long, it's like pulling teeth trying to get these guys off the books. Oh, for me, I was putting one to that bracket as well, unmovable. But do you think that fee's based on the development, the age, and the contract? Do you think for once the 5-year contract's doing a good in here?
Yeah, it's got to. That's the thing when Celtic are bringing these guys in and giving them 5-year deals. These guys are looked at as project players, players that we're going to push on, that we're going to build up to potentially make a bit of cash on. Guys like Yang, Odin, Thiago Holm, your other young lads, Lager Bielka, these kind of guys, these were project players for me. Marco Tellio. Who's the other lad?
Would you say Lager Bielka was a project based on the coming in with the award for Swedish defender? Well thought. Was he project for you?
Age-wise, yeah. You look at that kind of young age. For me, they're project players. They're coming in. They're ones that you've got to then progress. You're not getting a player who's already made it. You're not bringing in a Sergio Ramos or a massive name. You're not bringing in a proper, for me, big defender. You're bringing in guys that you're going to try and
get on over the line
through. Aye. Do you know what I mean? I see this there with Lindsay. They talk about Ida. I don't know what the deal is with that. Norwich basically turned around. The new manager's coming in. He wants to see him, doesn't he? He wants to have a look at him. And as far as I'm aware, the money, there's no longer an offer on the table. The Norwich manager wants to look at him and wants to see if he fits into his squad. So, for me, yeah, I'd have loved to have had him in. As I would have loved to have had Majowski as well. We had that conversation. We've had it so many times. Striker-wise, we do need to bring in a big unit.
Well, the thing is we're looking at he looks almost certain to go. And again, hopefully that'll pick up some traction in the next week or so. There's no distractions there. I believe that pre-season kicks off at the start of July. There's no internationals for him with career. There's no distractions. They're having a wee bit of a break, but agents should be working. The window's open. Make it happen. Get him out the door. But I think that's got to be key for us, because if we get him out the door nice and sharp, it puts us down to the one striker, and it really does shift our eye. Well, the goalkeepers already should be focused on. We know we need that because that's a gaping hole. But that leaves 2 positions that we have no excuse. We have to be focused on. We have to make it happen, and we need to get ourselves involved in those as soon as possible. I think creating that void would hopefully hurry us up and expedite that a wee bit.
Yes.
Would you be concerned? We know that the manager likes Ida. We like Ida. We like what we've seen. Sticky wicket with the fact that there's now the new manager. New managers like to see what they've got at their disposal before they make a decision. Yeah. Would you be concerned that we throw all our eggs into that Ida basket as the number one choice, and it just ticks on, starts to get a bit desperate, and we lose sight? Would you at this moment in time say move on, or would you go in just with a heavy offer and test the resolve?
If the offer isn't actually on the table, then you move on. It's as simple as that. The Celtic way is to hold off. Hopefully we'll get him. Bang. No, you don't. And you're left with 2 days left of the transfer window to bring in somebody garbage. Yeah. For me, you need to get things done. You need to get them done rapid. Norwich were ones again who were reportedly interested in Mikey Johnson. Use him as leverage. Get Mikey Johnson in there and say, do you know what, you like Mikey Johnson there, have him in 5 million, give us Ida.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to do something like that If there is an offer at 8 million on the table, like Lindsay says, pay it.
Yeah.
Pay the 8 million for him, not a problem. We spoke about it before, but when we were comparing, obviously done the chat about him and Bernardo, and we said that sometimes it's better the devil you know. These guys have been in the club, they know what it means, we know they're good enough players, and we know what they can do. You're not going to bring in some idiot for 3 million or 8 million or whatever. You're going to bring in somebody who's been at the club and who knows what the
thing
pressure
is, we need three strikers, and
Yes.
I think we need 3 strikers of an even quality across the board. There was no doubt that we had, Kyogo mixed season, then we did that, and it was a significant step down to we need to have people in. So let's just hope that Ida is one of them. Certainly for me, that's it. But I'm slightly concerned that I know it's early, but I am slightly concerned that even into the end of the season, into the opening period, the close season, that there was no talks. There was no real talks. Any strikers. There was nothing, not even whispers. Now maybe that's a good thing, and they've got their cards close to their chest and they're going to spring a surprise that nobody saw, perhaps. But as you say, we live in hope, but often we're disappointed. I would like Ida to be one of them, but I want us to really get somebody in. There's got to be a striker out there that is of a certain quality that we can get in, that we'll go for, and then hopefully get an Ida. But my concern is, as you say, is that we're going to let this one tick over and desperately battle down. And the thing that I'm a bit concerned about is particularly, as much as I have faith if Celtic give Rodgers a bit of free rein to get guys in that he wants, he tends to shop around in these sort of markets where it's, we'll wait till they've declared their squad for the coming season. And that's right at the nip and tuck tail end of the season. There is no excuse. We've sat here and spoke about the money time and time again. There really is no excuse this time, is there?
No,
rather than waiting, forget waiting. If you like somebody, wait in with your best offer straight away, rather than hoping that they're not going to make the cut and you can get them cheap.
Yeah. You look, how long ago did we know that Joe Hart was quitting? How long ago did we know? I mean, Joe Hart come out and said, listen, guys, I'm retiring at the end of the season. And we're all like, right, no problem. Surely then Celtic must have had someone in motion looking at keepers and going, right, this is the guy we're after. So I firmly, you said you expected Bernardo to be the first one announced. I expected a keeper straight in that door. I wanted him just to go, do you know what? This is who you're going to have between the sticks. This is the guy that's going to strengthen us up at the back, who's going to be ways going forward, blah, blah. I was like, right, excellent, here it's coming. And we've had nothing. Had snippets of this guy, that guy, linked with everybody in their da. We just need to start throwing money at it, start bringing players in.
That's the thing, that this is obviously a concern that folk have got, that will spend sort of very low money. Now, just to throw that out, we've covered throughout the start of the show the apparent linked names, the Jensen, the Binder, the Dubravka for the goalkeeping situation. 2 of them have got fees. Apparently Binder about 6 million, take that as you find it. 4 apparently for Jensen. Dubravka, nothing, pretty much wages, right? You can get those solutions there. We spoke about leaving, great, leaves us 1 striker. The fee was supposed to be 6 million. Apparently that is what Ross is asking. That's jumping up, talking anywhere between 8, maybe 9 million, but the manager wanted to have a look at them. Certainly we could go in heavy with that offer and sit it and say to them, that's what we're willing to offer.
Yeah.
Now, they might look at that and go 9 million, right? 8 million, whatever, and say, nah, not right now, we want to have a look at them. That's fine, but you say, that's what we're offering. And here's when you've got to make your decision on where you want it. I think you've got to be that assertive in this transfer. What I would say as well is, with regards to the centre back, and I want to throw one out to you as well. Kevin says McKenna on a free. I am not against that. I have said I am not against that. I think that at his age, his vast experience, let's not forget he was a regular in the Prem until he fell out with folk. He went to Copenhagen. He finds himself in the Scotland setup. Scotland aren't great, but that isn't too bad for me personally. I think he's a good option, not the solution, but an option. Do I think he's better than Scales on his game? Probably yes. But Scales deserves what he's got, but Scales should not be the starting centre back next season. He shouldn't be. That's not me rubbishing everything that he's achieved this season. He just shouldn't be. He should be an option. But we've spoke about Welsh, haven't we? I would let Welsh go. We've spoke about Lagerbielke. He should be going. So if you can get in a guy like McKenna on wages as a option instead of Lagerbielke and Welsh, I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But we've got other things to do. But another name that did come out was the boy. I need to say it. I've got it here. Well, we said Amarty, but I've got it here still for the other day. Was the chap for Austria, Danilic, who was at RB Salzburg, 23-year-old. He finds himself in the squad at Austria. I don't know if he managed to get on the pitch today. I didn't watch the game. 23, 6'2", as I've said before. This guy is an absolute unit. If you've not seen this guy, go and check out pictures of this dude. He is shredded. He is an absolute muscle monster. Think Bobo Baldi, but 23. He's found himself, he's a Salernitana player, and he went on loan with an option to buy to RB Salzburg. 183 club appearances. He came through the Bayern Youth Academy. He went to Nice in France, where he played 55 times. He went to Salernitana, who have now found themselves relegated to Serie B, but 42 games in the Serie A, and now he's found himself at RB Leipzig, where he's played 12 times for RB. They've got an option to buy. They have to, I believe, trigger it by the end of this month. So far, they've not done it. And again, if you believe everything you read, the terms were that Celtic were firmly interested in him. He's a guy, he's a right-sided midfielder, but he can also play at right back. Not a midfielder, central defender, right-sided central defender, but he can also play at right back. Gives us a wee bit of flexibility, doesn't it? If you want to go to a sort of more solid at the three, you could have your Carter Vickers, one other, something like that. That sort of profile there, as I say, he's had 3 senior caps. Ralph Rangnick's taken him. He was on the bench to begin with today. I don't know if he got on the park. Is that a guy is that somebody just throwing out quick numbers at you? Does that sound more the sort of stature and that what you want?
It's a stature that I'm looking for in defence. You're looking for somebody that's a unit. You compare them to Bobo Baldi. That you need people like that at the back. We got Carter Vickers in there. I don't know if the young lad's got a turn of pace, if he's pretty quick or whatever, but we obviously need somebody in there with a turn of pace as well. It'd be interesting to see. I'll have a wee look out for the laddie and see what kind of standard he's up to. It'd just be nice to get somebody in the door and have a name where we can start getting excited about, somebody we can go, right, you know what, right, there's one, it started.
I think the interesting thing about him, Paddy, was though, just to come back to Danilic, was that he is at RB. RB did not win the league this year, so they don't get that direct Champions League, which again, it's 8 games, but he can offer it. They've got plenty of that, but so have Celtic. There might be a gateway into potentially, a lot of players go to teams like there and then end up, they find their way back to France with a better team or into the German Bundesliga. But let's be honest, Celtic are a far better shop window for those that ultimately, let's face it, they want to go to the Premier League. That generally happens to be the young footballer's dream at the moment. So I think we've got, again, if we're serious, he's a guy that I would act on sooner rather than later, particularly if RB do not trigger the buy clause, because as well, he's floating around the Euros, he's not got on yet, but if he gets on and sets it alight, you could find yourself in a fight. But you've said we need to do these things. The Euros is a great opportunity. I mean, look at that Romania team today. Look at that Romania team. Now, I know nothing about that team, but I tell you what, I bet you the guys are playing at some very peripheral clubs.
Aye.
And there was a lot of good talent on that pitch, was there not?
Probably half of them are Neil Lennon's squad. You know, away to Romania.
We've got to cast the net, have we not? We have got to cast the net. Do you remember when, going way back, whenever we were around about the sort of Martin O'Neill type sort of era and stuff, and you'd have guys like Val Harn and things like that, you would get guys playing at the Euros and that were like, you would sign somebody for tournaments.
Andreas Henkel.
Yes. He had a good tournament, get him bought.
Yeah. It's kind of what happened with Alistair Johnson, isn't it? We've seen him playing at the World Cup and thought, he's a cracking player, bring him in. Before we know it, he played 2 games and he was a Celtic player. The Euros is always a great place to have a look at some of the players and look at these smaller teams like your Slovakias and I was going to say Serbia, but they're not really a small team, but like your smaller clubs out there, and kind of try and pick some of the players that do look to be of a certain standard that we're going to need for European football. Brendan always speaks about it every time he comes in, says we need quality, we need depth, we need this. We know what we need. Just getting the board to part with their money to actually give us it. That's Peter Lawwell, the new driveway again, is he?
Heated, couple of extra meters on the heated driveway. But do you know what, Paddy? We've just went over an hour there, as we say. It's been lean pickings to get through the chats. I think the main thing is we know there's money coming in. There is money coming in. It was really just a case of, are we really stumbling already at the first block with somebody that should have been a shoe-in, with somebody that should have been a stick-on, as I predicted or hoped, the first one out the traps that we're going to unveil, and here we find ourselves asking questions if it's going to happen over wages. Let's hope it's not the case, eh? Let's hope that we do kick on, and let's hope more at the point that in the coming sort of week or two, we've got something a wee bit more tangible to talk about. Do you think it's going to be, if you were a betting man, are we going to see departures first at Celtic? Is that going to be the first news we're talking about before incomings?
I would say so. I think the Matt O'Reilly thing, obviously not going with Denmark, I think has halted negotiations there. I think, but obviously there is still a lot of teams interested in him. So I think we'll see Matt leave, which breaks my heart because he's been outstanding. But yeah, I think there's a lot more need to be out that door before we can bring in, and we do need to strengthen so many areas, pretty much everywhere on the park. Let's be honest, we need to bring in a player for pretty much every position, if I'm being honest. So yeah, interesting couple of weeks to come. Let's see what we get. Let's like they said there, let's not wait till September.
No, let's not wait till September.
If the board don't pump money in, if they don't give us the money now, then they're going to be calling for their heads. We're not going to go down this route again where we had the season we didn't invest and Brendan went away, and we're not going to go down that route again. It's not tangible. It can't happen again. Yeah. Seeing the implosion that it caused, so we can't do that again.
Just to finish off, Paddy, and give you the final word. Obviously, we're still in a closed season. The transfer window is open. The Euros are in full swing, opening up. Players aren't back. They don't come back to pre-season. It's the turn of next month.
Yeah.
What's your cut-off point? Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Yes, we should have said that Bernardo should have been in the door because that was a given.
Yeah.
Agents will be working. Agents don't sleep, they continue to work. But do we give allowances for the rest of this month that it should be slow because it's everybody's technical go back to their work? Yeah. When do you at this early stage, when do you start getting annoyed?
I'm annoyed already, if I'm being honest. I want
5 days in.
I want it done. You want players in. Remember how we were under Big Ange? We had it done. We knew what we needed. Bang. We were there. We had it done. Was that the season without Law in charge? I believe it was. But just get the wall open. Get the players brought in, lads. This is what we need. I'm hoping for a good 2 weeks here. I'm hoping we're going to start seeing some movement in the club at least. The Euros doesn't stop the transfer window for me. These players are in there and they're playing for their countries and they want to concentrate on that and whatever else. But signing for another club should give you a boost. Yeah. Should give you a wee kick up the hoop to go, right, let's do this. I've got a chance here to prove myself to a few fans here on Champions League football and whatever. We've got a lot to offer as a club. And I think people should be chomping at the bit to sign for Celtic.
I am going to give slight allowances. What I'm going to say is it's going to be a very quiet remainder of this month. until pre-season kicks up and the manager's back and we're getting the press conferences and the hard questions are getting asked and the business is getting more done. I would anticipate if we're going to see anything between now and the end of the month, it's probably going to be outgoings. Obviously, we are talking about taking, action for the off, and it appears teams like Genk have done that. So hopefully within the next week or two, O's off the books. Again, the aforementioned Tilio, perhaps Lech maybe coming in and taking away Lagerbielke. I think for me, these guys that were halfway out the door, if you want to call it that, I would imagine they'll move on because they've been told they dropped off the squad whilst we were still in season. That remaining 6-10 games, they were nowhere to be seen. So they knew, get the wheels in motion because you are gone. So I imagine probably they're the ones that we're going to see the movement on first and foremost, I think, before we see anybody coming in. I would like to hope that maybe we could get Bernardo in again because he was there and we had a sort of negotiation, a bit of dialect in place already. And yeah, it might be stumbling at the moment, but that one, I would imagine, within the next 2 weeks, I'd say that for me is likely going to be our incoming with some more guys that were on the periphery that knew their team was out are going to be going. So I would say third week in, we're only 5 days in. I say only 5 days in, but I would say week 3, if we're sitting here in 3 weeks' time at the end of that and there's nothing, then I will be really peed off. That's when I would start to get a wee bit itchy. And Air punches it. We spoke about it. You just come in. They looked good. These teams, these guys are out there. It's time for Celtic to cast the net, isn't it? It's time for us to get back to something called international football and scouting.
Yeah.
No,
that's it. Use the Euros. You know what you're going to get. These guys are international players. They've been picked to play at the biggest stage that their country's qualified for. So why not start signing them? For me, it's a no-brainer. I'd love to see these guys coming in. The boy Stanchu, I think he's quite a big club, though, is he not?
That's the thing, as I say, I'm a wee bit sort of ignorant to some of the teams that are out there. I don't know too much about the sort of, I'd use the term sort of peripheral or smaller nations that are in there, but there's certainly quality to be found. Well, anyway, Paddy, we've went just over an hour. It's been great, mate, to have you back. It's been great to have a sidekick, somebody to chat to, and as always, we know the Euros are on. We know it's a slow Celtic sort of week and a slow news time for us, so we're absolutely grateful to everybody that's taking the time to join us live and join in the chat here. And again, thank you to everybody. If you are watching this, whether you've watched it along with us right now live or whether you come back to it retrospectively, we know that the Euros can be a wee bit boring, but as we say, if there's any sort of news, any inkling, whether it's a rumour or otherwise, and it breaks throughout the course, we will pop up, do these shows, and we'll chew the fat over it, because until something really tangible comes on, that's what the silly season's all about, isn't it, Paddy? It's all just about talking about rumours, it's about your fantasy signings and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much. Fantasy football.
Linked to everybody, buying nobody. The Celtic way.
Don't go away that way. Well, anyway, listen, thank you to every single one of you again for watching us. We're going to get away. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever you're doing. Plenty of games to be watching. There's a Scotland game on Wednesday. There might be some Celtic players on it. There might not be. Always looking the bright side of life. It can't get any worse, can it?
Nah. There'll no beat us by one, for sure.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, as always, thanks again. Until the next time, catch you all later, and of course, hail, hail. Bye-bye.
Hail.